Hello everyone, and welcome to this new tutorial by MKS Tech. Today, we're going to look at how we can populate our design using adaptive families that we create in Revit by exporting from Rhino curves or points using Ursa. After you install BEAM in your computer, make sure you visualize the BEAM property window by clicking into Options, and then BEAM will appear at the top of the list. In this case, we have the BEAM top ribbon, where we can manage all the families, the parameters that we have here into our Rhino file. And then using the ribbon at the bottom, we can export our geometry into Revit or IFC. For the purpose of this tutorial, I created this very interesting roof using single curves that have 2 points and a direction. And then here into Revit, I basically modeled an adaptive family that I create that has 2 insert points. So as you can see, point 1 and point 2, and a radius parameter that allow us to change the diameter of our pipe. So what I want to achieve, I want to basically populate my roof here into Revit using the adaptive families that I created by exporting using Ursa the curves coming from Rhino. I have also the possibility of exporting single points in case my adaptive family has 1 insert point, or I can also export, in this case, a curve that has 4 points. In case, let's say, I want to populate a facade with an adaptive family that has 4 insert points, or let's say curves with as many points as you want. The most important thing is that the number of curves and the direction match your adaptive family in Revit. As you can see, every time that I select one specific curve, under the object property window, we're able to assign a specific family to this curve under set. So in this case, the family is called top curves. And if I select the bottom curves, the family is called bottom curves. I can assign a specific family to a curve just by writing the name under set. So in this case, I want to call it, let's say, adaptive curve. And now this specific one is placed under this family. BEAM at the same time assign a specific mark to every different element. And this mark is really helpful in case you want to deal with your geometry using Grasshopper or Dynamo. Now, before we start, we have to create the custom family parameter by clicking on P, which is the radius. Make sure that the name is the same one as the one that you have in Revit. And I want to apply this to all the family categories. And then by hitting OK, if I select my curves, now radius is visible. Let's select a specific family by going into the F tool. Now, as you can see, I'm able to select a specific family that I have here in Rhino. And I want to assign, let's say, a specific radius, 100. And then I want to assign a specific radius to these multiple families, let's say 400. And I want to assign a specific radius to my edge curves, which is, let's say, 300. I'm going to export just a specific, let's say, section of this geometry for the purpose of this workflow, just to make the export faster. Now, what I can do after selecting my curves, I can just beam them. I'm going to call them roof export. Now here in Revit, as you can see, BEAM is visible in our top ribbon. And then we're going to use the Ursa tool that is basically related to an adaptive component that has 4 points. Now what we have to do is As you can see, if we select the drop-down menu, the latest file that we export from Rhino is always placed at the top in a chronological order. Then here under Family, always make sure you select your adaptive family, and you can read also the number of insert points, and then by beaming it, now as you can see, we're placing our adaptive family in the exact same location according to the curves that we exported and with the same radius parameter. So we complete it, and you can see now we have the radius parameter and the mark that has been assigned accordingly. Let's go back here in Rhino, and let's say I want to apply a specific radius parameter, which is 200, to all of them, and I want to update my radius in Revit as well. I just need to beam my geometry again, and I'm going to call it radius update. And then now back into Revit. Again, the latest file is always placed at the top in a chronological order. Make sure you always select your family, which is my cable. And as you can see, is completed. And now the radius are updated accordingly. Now, we all know that in Revit, it's always difficult to manage, let's say, the design. So in case, let's say I want to change the points, or I want to change the design of this roof, it's a bit complicated because I don't have like a proper gumball like in Rhino. So it's always important that you, for example, do your design changes here in Rhino, because it's faster and easier. So in this case, I can change my geometry like this. In case I want to update my design. Okay, this is probably not functional. I'm gonna have to pick some other points that are basically these ones. And let's say I want to change the location, and I want also to change the radius parameter of this specific cables. Now I'm able to do so by beaming the geometry again that we edited in Rhino, because it's definitely faster and quicker. I'm gonna call it roof update number 3. Let's beam it again. Then back into Revit. Now we're able to visualize our design update by selecting the adaptive family. And as you can see, our design now is updated accordingly, as well as the radius parameter that we applied to the specific curves. Using BEAM, we have also the possibility of going back and forth with our design changes in case we're not happy. So for instance, we can always go back to the second option or to the first option by selecting it in the drop-down menu and then beam it again. As you can see, now we're placing the previous geometry that we exported, in case you're not happy with the latest one. Thank you for watching.